welcome back. We're doing another Shadow Work Sunday. For this week, we will be using the Past Life Oracle. This is a very good deck for dealing with trauma from, like the name suggests, past lives. And it even has shown up to me as like things from early childhood that we haven't processed or that we don't remember because like this situation was just so traumatic. So whichever one that applies for, it's just going to give some hints about things that are kind of still influencing you that you can't remember, past or present, this lifetime, last lifetime. So let's get started. For my Aries, we have finances and we have leaving or traveling. For my Aries people, I really feel like either this lifetime or the last, there was a big struggle with your money, your feelings around money. It almost feels like with the coins flowing out, it's like you were always losing money or you were insecure about money. And that leads to this travel. You've got like a suitcase packed and it's kind of like on the railroad tracks. Like maybe not only did you have to move, but also it led to a period of homelessness. Almost, it seems like living out of your car or like riding the rails when I look at it. So if there has been a real struggle for any Aries people out there with their relationship with finances, it's never too late to look into your feelings on money, figuring out why do I feel certain ways, why do I do certain things, figuring out how you feel about money and not feeling so attached to it, and knowing that it will ebb and flow throughout your lifetime, and that's okay. And also to not feel like you're constantly still at risk of being forced out at any moment due to a lack of finances. So it's just something to think about. If any of my Aries people are struggling with either of those things, this would be a good week to reflect on them. We're going to go to my Taurus people. Very powerful. So my Taurus people, I'm not sure if anyone watching is either a practicing witch, root worker, medicine man, woman, but it's like in a past life or in this life, you are seeking power. My Taurus people, they are stepping into their power. They are remembering who they once were and the spiritual authority that they have. If you've been searching for your path, maybe not knowing if you want to stay in a traditional religion or if you want to move, I think this is a good indicator that you would be very successful if you went the non-traditional route. And it also brings up trees. And I do feel like it's kind of significant. There are other cards in this deck that speak to like certain locations, but in general, I feel like this Taurus reading is for someone who is very connected to the earth. They're very connected to nature. They know what routes to get to receive desired results. They know how to heal with the plants around them. This is a really powerful card. If anyone's looking maybe to get into herbalism, or they've been feeling really drawn to it, this is definitely an energy that you've been with before and that you can tap back into again, but only if you want to. I'm just saying, even if you don't want to go like the high priestess route, at least know that you have an open connection to the earth and you'll be able to use it as a catalyst for your healing. Gemini. My Geminis coming out with the Mother. This speaks to either a past lifetime or early this lifetime struggles with your mother, maybe not feeling heard, missing love. You may have lost your mother very early, or like your mother just was not that supportive person for you like you wish she would be. But that's for a reason. I have food and hunger. These two kind of go hand in hand to me. Mothers are supposed to be nurturing. They're supposed to be kind. They're supposed to raise up their children. But how can she dedicate herself to that when she's starving? When she doesn't know where her next meal is going to come from? That sense of scarcity, and not even sense, because this is real, right? That scarcity factor really drove a lot of poor mothering decisions. It's also possible that my Gemini people could be this mother figure that is struggling with feeling insecurities around food and the ability to provide for her children. Or they could have been that in their last lifetime and they're worried about being that again. So I would say if anyone is struggling with feeling like they don't have enough to feed themselves, it's hard to give advice in certain cultures that are very individualistic, but look within your community, see who is there to help you, check food banks, see what you can gather from the earth. A lot of people are starting to forage for their food again. They're starting to grow in their own backyards. They're not depending wholly on farmers anymore. And maybe that will be your way out. And then to keep in mind too that even though you're going through hard times, to still keep love in your heart. And if you're not the mother who's struggling with showcasing her love, if your mother was perhaps struggling with showcasing her love to you, to understand that she was doing truly the best that she could at the time. And I really hate making that that excuse for negligent parents, but in this circumstance, I'm willing to extend that grace. Just try to think about what desperation does to people and how out of character it can make them act. So it's just something to think about. My Cancers. What an interesting combo. So my Cancers, I have knighthood. This could be like a literal thing, like in a past lifetime you were knighted, or you were put in a position where you were responsible for the care and consideration of those around you. What do knights do? They defend the weak and the helpless. This is either what you literally did in a last lifetime or what you feel like you did or are doing currently. And not only that, but I have the medicine man or woman. This is a very powerful card. It speaks to me of someone who kind of has like their street smarts about them, right? Like you are a fighter, either literally or metaphorically. Like you will ride or die for everyone in your life. And the way that you show up for them is by extending your herbal knowledge and um, acumen with herbs to the people around you. You know how to heal those around you. It's like a mix of street smarts and book smarts. Your heart and your head working in unison. This is a really powerful combination. If you haven't yet found a balance between these two things, it's kind of like a sign that maybe you felt like you're split between, do I want to heal or do I want to hurt? But I also heard this a lot when I was just coming up in my path. So I guess I'll say it now. It's kind of like the best healers also know how to they know how to hurt people. And that's like not a threat, but it's like in order to fix an injury, you have to know how it's made. You know what I'm saying? So these are not two opposing forces. They can exist within you. You just have to find balance. Leo. That's funny, Leo. So, I have Galactic. This speaks to me of someone who is here from another dimension. I don't believe in that whole starseed thing. I'm not going to say that, you know, some people are like more evolved or whatever, but like definitely like newly coming to this earth. I'll say it like that. Like you are coming from the ether and you find yourself experiencing a sort of imprisonment or slavery. This may be a current circumstance in this life. You may have had other people who are imprisoned around you, or you like your soul tribe was imprisoned here, so you followed them. It's funny because I often refer to Earth as the prison planet. Clearly, we're on timeout because we can't act like we know what we're doing on this earth. So they're like, you guys are going to go to Earth until you figure yourself out because you're in timeout. You're in timeout. And it may feel that way to you, literally or symbolically. It's just because you're new here. You don't understand how this world works. It baffles you that people can be so cruel or so short-sighted or so lacking in love, so unbalanced. But this earth is a great opportunity to grow. Imprisonment normally is a pretty bad thing, but for people who either transgress or people who do things in ignorance, when they're in a healthy, functioning rehabilitation system, it really is that. It's rehab. So try not to view yourself as being in a prison. Treat it like school and treat it like rehab for your soul. Virgos. My Virgo people, I have transportation. This is speaking to me of someone who frequently traveled. It seems less dire to me than the earlier cards that I drew about traveling, like more voluntary. This is an energy coming forth like in previous lifetimes, like you had kind of itchy feet. You never wanted to stay in one place for long. You like to travel. This is a bit of a conundrum though with the forgiveness. It's almost like when this Virgo personality is offended and they have disputes, they have a hard time forgiving, they would rather just cut ties and whoosh out of there. They'd rather take the Amtrak away from messiness. And in general, that's kind of a good philosophy for most things. But if you find yourself always fleeing a conflict and never forgiving anyone, well, then you're just going to be a lonely, miserable person. So I would say for my Virgo, whoever this applies for, like, transportation is good, traveling is good, but running is not. You can't run forever. You can't avoid forgiveness forever. Forgiveness is a gift. It is for you and not necessarily the other person. You don't always have to make harsh breaks with people. If a situation is one where it causes you significant harm, feel free to not want to be around them, to cut ties, move on, But I also think that when people say forgiveness is for you and not the other person, I take that really literally. Like, forgive yourself too. Like, yeah, that person might not have been trustworthy, but it's like, if you can't extend forgiveness to them, at least forgive yourself for being taken for a ride. And, cut ties when it's safe to do so. But if it's a minor offense, you do not have to cut and run all the time. That might have been something that you did quite a lot in your lifetime, past and present. So now's a good opportunity to break that cycle. Libra. All right. My Libra person, they're a very biblical minded person. They truly have a strong basis in the Bible. This may have even been a person in a past lifetime who lived in a biblical manner. But they also struggled in their faith. You are struggling. Do I trust what I've been told? Do I trust what I can verify? And I don't think that they have to be opposed. I myself am not a biblical believer, but if you have really been struggling with your faith, try to figure out why. Especially because it has the trust and faith there. I know a lot of times there's a lot of significant religious trauma that is associated with church life, and sometimes we just feel like we've got to make the ultimate decision, like we have to leave our faith behind entirely. But I know that worked for me. That doesn't work for everybody. Sometimes there's a community there, or you really like parts of the Bible. Like, take what rings true to your faith, especially if you did deal with these biblical circumstances and there were uh, there were times that you felt persecuted, like, or that you couldn't fully express any doubts. Like, you can do that. You can have doubts and still, like, keep your faith. Um, Faith is not a choice if you can't question it. So, you know, if there's any kind of religious trauma, maybe taking a step back from the community aspect of it and going one-on-one with your source material and figuring out, like, when you read the Bible, like, do a body scan. When I read this, does this feel true? Or when the pastor says this, does this feel true? Do I feel it in my gut? Do I feel it in my soul? Do I have the tingles, the shivers? Whatever confirms to you that something is true and correct, follow that and you'll be okay. For my Cancer people, we have a spouse. This can be male or female. Your marriage or your pursuit of marriage is very heavy on you in this lifetime. In past lifetimes, you found a lot of meaning in marriage. You definitely seek that out still. You want to make marriage work, but it's kind of like a complication with the idea of marriage. Maybe like certain aspects of it don't work for you, or like tradition tells you that marriage is one way only and you really want to break free of that. And especially coming up with a Native American card, it kind of almost feels like with this very European idea of marriage, it might have conflicted with any native beliefs concerning marriage. I don't think like their setup was quite as formal, and so it's kind of like you want that freedom, or you don't want to be bound to kind of Christian European ideals of marriage. Like, you want to be able to be a provider as well, or you want to be able to have authority at the same level as your husband. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is either something that you've dealt with in the past or like you're dealing with now. I'd be very amazed if I had a Scorpio who was dealing with this exact scenario, but it really feels like past life trauma specifically. Figure out how you feel about marriage and how society wants you to feel about marriage and how you actually feel about marriage. And I would say to choose you, to examine your beliefs and find out if there are any common grounds between the two. Try and merge it so that it's not such an opposition to each other. All right, let's see what's going on with Sagittarius. I have orphan. It could have been a situation in this time, in this lifetime, or previous lifetimes where you've either been abandoned in your early childhood or in childhood. It could be that if it wasn't like a literal leaving, it definitely was like this feeling of abandonment. This abandonment really made you feel like you have to take on vows. In this card, it almost takes on sort of like a religious tone to it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a religious vow. Or you're like, I'll never be this again. Or like, you may have had to make certain vows, especially like in another lifetime, where like in order to deal with being orphaned, right? Like, you seek solace in like a religious path, and so it's asking you to re-examine the reasons why you took your vows. Did you really take them out of a sense of love for whatever you made this promise to, or did you do it out of a sense of not wanting to be destitute? because they're not the same. They're like devotion from two different places. Make sure that whatever devotion that you are taking is coming from a heart space, a sense of love and passion for what you're devoting yourself to, and not just because you're trying to avoid negative consequences. For my Capricorns, we have love life. Your love life, either this lifetime or past lifetimes, has been very significant. This is definitely something that you seek out. You really get your love from the people around you. And it's not to say that you don't have love for yourself, but like that's not been your primary focus. And then I have angels. This could be either speaking to kind of like your past relationship with the angelic beings, or it could be kind of like your current. You might be a practitioner who really deals with angels and saints and stuff like that, and asking them to help you to find the love of your life. Either way, the angelic beings have taken notice of you, and if you aren't aware, it's the universe making you aware now that in this lifetime and other lifetimes that the angels have taken notice, and they really want to do their best in helping you support your love life, but also make sure that that's not the only thing that you're asking them for, because their love life is nice. They can definitely help you there, but if you're always seeking for love outside of yourself, then you're always going to be wanting it like other people can help you to see things that are lovable about you, but you kind of already have to know those to make it worthwhile. So maybe instead of only asking them for help and love, help ask them to help you to love yourself just as much as you want others to love you. Aquarius. All right, my Aquariuses are dealing with a little bit of unrequited love, and it says male, female. Now this card is very peculiar, and especially when it's talking about it's two things. It's talking about past lifetimes primarily, and that whatever gender you are now, male or female, you are not that gender in this lifetime. So you may have spent many lifetimes as a man, and now you're a woman. Now your soul wants to experience that. Or in this present lifetime, you perhaps, because of those past lifetimes, but maybe not, you have felt very disconnected from your assigned gender. You may be in a male body, but you feel very, very feminine, and it leads to this unrequited love, which again is kind of dual natured, right? Because love of all kinds, it has to start inward, right? So like if you've been struggling feeling at home in your body because it's different than you imagined it would be, whether that's like you're dealing with literal like trans issues, or you're dealing with any other type of issues, you haven't felt like other people love you for the skin that you're in. This may be like it's just, this is a very tricky gender dynamic that you're dealing with. I feel like this very much speaks to me of someone who is struggling with gender identity and finding love in a way that society finds meaningful, that's very powerful. We have a lot of things going on right now, especially in America, and I just wish you all the luck. Um, if you are in a place that provides gender affirming care, maybe to find stock in that, or if you're not someone who's dealing with that issue necessarily, but maybe you're just like a real tomboy, or you are a very feminine man, just like really feeling comfortable in the skin that you're in, um, so that others can see the true you, and that you can get the love that you deserve. All right, and we got Pisces. Oh wow, my Pisces people, either this lifetime or last lifetime, but probably last lifetime if I'm gonna be real. You spent a lot of time in Egypt. If you are not on a Kemetic spiritual path, it is highly advised that you look into it, because this is something that's going to feel at home for you. Um, Kemet is a birthplace of all kinds of science and math. It is also where the god Thoth came first and delivered the secrets of alchemy, spiritual and physical, to the masses. So take some time to reflect on the lessons that ancient Egypt has to offer you. And also, we have lessons and blessings. Um, Goes kind of hand in hand with what I was just talking about. Egypt is a land of great mysteries. It has a lot of wisdom. Um, Even the way that the laws were, um, pretty fair for the time and the regions that were surrounding it. So um, this might be a good time for my Pisces people to reflect on their past lifetimes. Maybe do some past life meditation, meditate to certain kind of like music from that region, and just like really feel the vibes. Research all that you can, because there are lessons hidden in your past lifetimes, surrounding higher mysteries, and especially alchemy and the secrets to um, the knowledge of life and death. Um, Egyptian religion really was kind of like the start for a lot of things, even down to the Ten Commandments. A lot of those commandments were taken straight out of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So, um, you don't have to, but I feel like there's a great amount of healing that can be found in perhaps just doing a little bit of research into ancient Egypt and the philosophies that existed therein. All right, so that was all 12 signs. Um, just a little bit of shadow work to get us through the week ahead, helping us grow spirituality wise. As always, this has been Dark Divine Feminine, and just take it easy with yourself when you're doing these shadow work lessons, when you're examining yourself. Be kind to yourself. I do offer spirit-led psychic tarot readings. The information for those things can be found in the community section. You can always private message me. I am available for all of your spiritual growth needs. I thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that you have a wonderful week.